My name is Jess from jesshuff.com, and this is part 3 of my Sage the Sheep crochet along. In this video, we'll be making the head. You can find a link to the full written pattern and everything you need to know about this crochet along in the video description below. At this point, you should have 2 finished ears. If for some reason you don't, go back and make those first, then come back to this video. Let's get started. With tan yarn, complete 6 single crochets inside a magic ring. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's close this up. And insert a stitch marker. And that's the end of round 1. For round 2, increase in each stitch around. I like to go ahead and trim off this tail off the back of the work so it's out of the way. And at the end of round 2, we should have 12 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. For round 3, we will alternate between a single crochet and an increase 6 times. Okay, that's 1 single crochet, increase, that's 2 single crochet and increase, that's 3 single crochet and increase, that's 4 single crochet, increase, that's 5 single crochet, then increase in that last stitch, and 6. At the end of the round, you should have 18 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. For round 4, we will single crochet, increase, then we're going to repeat a sequence a total of 5 times. Single crochet 2 times, then increase. 1, 2, increase. We're going to do that 4 more times. 1, 2, increase. 3 more times. 1, 2, increase. 2 more. 1, 2, increase. And 1 more time. 1, 2, increase. Then we're going to single crochet in this last stitch. And at the end of this round, you should have 24 stitches. For round 5, we will alternate between 3 single crochets and an increase 6 times. 1, 2, 3, increase, 1, 2, 3, and increase, 1, 2, 3, increase, 1, 2, 3, and increase, 1, 2, 3, increase. And then one more time. 1, 2, 3, and increase in this last stitch. At the end of the round, you should have 30 stitches. For round 6, we will single crochet 2 times, increase, then we're going to repeat a sequence a total of 5 times, which is single crochet 4 times, then increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, increase. That's 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, increase. That's our second sequence. 1, 2, 3, 4, increase. That's our third sequence. 1, 2, 3, 4, increase. That's our fourth sequence. 1, 2, 3, 4, and increase. Then we're going to single crochet in these last 2 stitches. 1, 2. And at the end of this round, you should have 36 stitches. For rounds 7 and 8, we will single crochet in each stitch around. I'm going to fast forward through this round, so pause the video if you need to, and I'll meet you at the end of the round. Okay, 34, 35, 36. So there's 36 total stitches in round 7, and you can go ahead and crochet round 8. It's all single crochets. I'm going to fast forward through this round too, and this is something you can expect on and off throughout the rest of the crochet along. I'll see you at the end of the round. $35 and $36. That's the end of round 8. You should have 36 stitches in the round. For round 9, we will alternate between 5 single crochets and an increase 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, increase, 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 and we'll repeat that sequence one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and increase in that last stitch. And round 9 should have a total of 42 stitches. For rounds 10 and 11, we will single crochet in each stitch around. $40, $41, and $42. So round 10 has 42 stitches total, and you can go ahead and single crochet for round 11. At the end of round 11, you should have 42 stitches. For round 12, we will single crochet 3 times. 1, 2, 3, increase in the next stitch. Then we're going to repeat a sequence a total of 5 times. Single crochet 6 times, then increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, increase. Then we'll repeat that sequence one last time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and increase. Then single crochet in the last 3 stitches of the round. 1, 2, and 3. At the end of the round, you should have 48 stitches. For rounds 13 and 14, we will single crochet in each stitch around. At the end of round 13, you should have 48 stitches. Go ahead and complete round 14. At the end of round 14, you should have 48 stitches. For round 15, we will alternate between 7 single crochets and an increase 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, increase, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, increase, and one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and increase in that last stitch. At the end of round 15, you should have 54 stitches. Now we're going to insert markers to show us where to add our safety eyes at a later step. Start by cutting 2 strands of yarn, several inches long. Thread 1 strand through a yarn needle. The markers should be placed between rounds 14 and 15, which are the last 2 rounds we completed. There should be 18 stitches between each marker, counted on round 14. Orient the head so the beginning of the round, after the magic ring, that's round 1, is facing down. Then fold the head in half. Count 9 stitches down round 14, which is this second to last round we did. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and insert your marker. I'm using strands of yarn because I find them easier to crochet around than these plastic stitch markers. Thread your second strand through the yarn needle. Then count down 9 stitches on round 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Insert your second marker. Now you can continue crocheting the rest of the head. For rounds 16 and 17, we will single crochet in each stitch around. At the end of round 16, you should have 54 stitches. Go ahead and complete round 17 by single crocheting in each stitch around. At the end of round 17, you should have 54 stitches. Now that we're done crocheting with the tan yarn, it's time to switch to white to crochet the wool portion of the head. Whenever I'm done with a particular color on a project, I prefer to end the color with an invisible finish and join the next color with a standing start. This step is totally optional, and you can join your colors however you like. For links to more in-depth tutorials on how I do an invisible finish and standing start, see the notes in the video description below. As I mentioned before, we're now switching to white yarn. In round 18, we'll be slip stitching in each stitch around. We'll be crocheting into these slip stitches at a later step. Because slip stitches often end up tighter than standard single crochets, I recommend sizing up to a 4.5mm hook for round 18. Create a slip knot on your hook. Slip stitch in each stitch around. I'm going to work into that invisible finish stitch that I made at the end of round 17. You can tell which stitch it is because you can see the top of the original stitch below. Okay, yarn over and slip stitch. And we're going to slip stitch all the way around. At the end of round 18, you should have 54 stitches. For round 19, we will single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch around, then slip stitch to join. Switch back to your 3.5mm hook. To close up this gap, I'm going to do my loop under technique. For a more detailed tutorial, see the notes in the video description below. Okay. Now I'm going to single crochet in the back loop only of that first stitch. And I'm going to insert my stitch marker again into the last stitch of the previous round. Maybe. Okay, now go ahead and single crochet in the back loop only for the rest of the round. From here on out, we will be joining rounds with a slip stitch and chaining one before beginning a new round. To join the round, slip stitch in the first stitch of the round. Please note that the slip stitch and chain between rounds do not count as stitches. When crocheting joined rounds, I prefer to mark the first and last stitch of each round so I don't accidentally crochet where I'm not supposed to. So I'm going to insert my marker into that first stitch where we just joined. In round 20, we will chain one to start, alternate between a single crochet and a bobble stitch 27 times, then slip stitch to join. Round 20 is our first round of bobble stitches. To start the round, chain 1. Next, single crochet in the same stitch as your slip stitch join and your chain 1. So I'm going to work into the same stitch where my stitch marker is. And then I'm going to move my stitch marker to the top of that completed single crochet. Now we're going to make our first bobble in the next stitch. To make a bobble, start by making 4 incomplete double crochets in the same stitch. To make an incomplete double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook through the stitch, and draw up a loop. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops. This here is your first incomplete double crochet. Repeat the process 3 more times. Yarn over, insert your hook through the stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, and pull through the first 2 loops. 2 more times, yarn over, insert your hook through the stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, and pull through the first 2 loops. Once more, yarn over, insert your hook through the stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, and pull through the first 2 loops. If we count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, we now have a total of 4 incomplete double crochets, and we should have a total of 5 loops on our hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To complete the bobble, yarn over and pull through all 5 loops on your hook. Rewind and practice making bobbles as many times as you need to feel confident with this new stitch. Single crochet in the next stitch. I prefer to keep it loose, then pop that bobble out to the outside of the work as you're tightening the stitch. Create a bobble in the next stitch. Alternate between single crochets and bobbles for the remainder of the round. Your last stitch here should be a bobble. Replace your stitch marker on top of that bobble stitch. At the end of the round, you should have 27 bobbles and a total of 54 stitches. Let's count the bobbles together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27. And then just for this round, I'll show you how to count the stitches on the bobble round. So our first single crochet is here in our marked stitch. The top of this bobble is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You'll notice a pattern that there's 2 on top of each bobble. 12, 13, 50, 51, 52, 53, and then this final bobble makes 54. Let's go ahead and join with a slip stitch. So work into that stitch where the stitch marker is, yarn over, pull through the loop on your hook, and you're ready to start the next round. For round 21, we will chain 1 to start, single crochet in the same stitch as your slip stitch that you used to join the round. Move your stitch marker. Then we're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to do an increase. Now we're going to repeat a sequence a total of 5 times. Single crochet 8 times, then increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, then increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, increase. Then we're going to single crochet in the last 4 stitches of the round. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, where our stitch marker is. Okay, replace your stitch marker. We should have a total of 60 stitches in this round. Let's go ahead and count. 1, where our first stitch marker is. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, and 60 where our stitch marker is. Then go ahead and slip stitch in that first stitch to join. For round 22, we will chain 1 to start, alternate between a single crochet and a bobble 30 times, then slip stitch to join. Chain 1, single crochet in the same stitch as your join, then move your stitch marker, make a bobble in the next stitch, then alternate between single crochets and bobbles for the remainder of the round. Then you should end with a bobble in the last stitch. Replace your stitch marker. At the end of the round, you should have 30 bobbles and a total of 60 stitches. Let's count the bobbles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Slip stitch to join the round. We are now going to mark 4 stitches in the round we just completed to show us where to attach our ears as we crochet round 23. We'll start by inserting the first 2 markers 18 stitches apart above the eyes. To find the center of the head, fold it in half so the eye markers are touching. Okay. Count 9 stitches down one side of the round and insert your first marker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So my marker will go in the stitch beside that one. Okay, then we're going to count down the opposite side of the head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So my stitch marker will go here. Next, we're going to add 2 additional markers with 2 stitches in between the inner and outer markers. So 1, 2. And then on the other side, 1, 2. Examine the head from different angles to make sure the markers for the eyes and ears look symmetrical. Adjust the ear markers if needed. I think this looks pretty good, so I'm going to proceed with round 23 and crochet in the ears. In round 23, we will chain 1, single crochet in each stitch around, attaching the ears where indicated, then slip stitch to join. To start the round, chain 1, single crochet in the first stitch, move your stitch marker, then single crochet in each stitch until you hit the first stitch marker. Remove the marker. Align the base of the ear with the next 4 stitches in the round, making sure that the tip of the ear is facing down. Insert your hook through the first slip stitch at the base of the ear. Then insert your hook through the next stitch in the round of the head. Yarn over and complete a single crochet. I like to do these nice and tight. Insert your hook into the next slip stitch on the ear, then the next stitch in the round on the head, single crochet. That's 3. And remove that stitch marker. And 4. Go ahead and single crochet across until you hit the next stitch marker. Okay, then repeat that process for your next ear. Then single crochet the rest of the round as normal. Okay. At the end of the round, we should have 60 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, and 60. Go ahead and slip stitch to join and move on to the next round. For round 24, we will chain 1 to start, alternate between single crochet and bobble 30 times, then slip stitch to join. Okay, so chain 1, single crochet in that first stitch, move your stitch marker, then in the next stitch we'll bobble, then go ahead and alternate between single crochet and bobble for the remainder of the round. Then bobble in the last stitch, replace your stitch marker, and at the end of the round you should have 30 bobbles and a total of 60 stitches. Let's count the bobbles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Slip stitch to join, and on to the next round. For round 25, we will chain 1 to start, single crochet in each stitch around, and slip stitch to join. So a nice easy round. We've chained 1, single crochet in that first stitch, replace your stitch marker, and single crochet around. At the end of the round, you should have 60 stitches. Slip stitch to join. For round 26, we will chain 1 to start, alternate between a single crochet and bobble 30 times, then slip stitch to join. Chain 1, single crochet in the first stitch, move your stitch marker, bobble in the next stitch, then alternate between single crochets and bobbles for the remainder of the round. There should be 30 bobbles and 60 total stitches in this round. Let's count the bobbles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. And slip stitch to join. For round 27, chain 1, repeat a sequence of 3 single crochets and a decrease 12 times, and slip stitch to join. Chain 1, single crochet in the first stitch, replace your stitch marker, then we'll single crochet 2 more times, then decrease, one, 2, 3, and decrease, 1, 2, 3, 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 and then decrease in the last 2 stitches. At the end of the round, you should have 48 stitches. Slip stitch to join. For round 28, we will chain 1 to start, alternate between a single crochet and a bobble 24 times, and slip stitch to join. Chain 1, single crochet, replace your stitch marker, bobble in the next stitch, then alternate between single crochets and bobbles for the remainder of the round. Then end with a bobble. Okay, at the end of this round, you should have 24 bobbles and a total of 48 stitches. Slip stitch to join. For round 29, chain 1, repeat a sequence of 2 single crochets and a decrease 12 times, and slip stitch to join. Chain 1, single crochet in the first stitch, replace your stitch marker, do another single crochet, then decrease, we'll repeat that sequence of single crochet 2 and decrease, 1, 2, 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 decrease, and to finish off the round, 1, 2, and decrease in the last 2 stitches. At the end of the round, you should have 36 stitches. Slip stitch to join. For round 30, we will chain 1 to start, alternate between a single crochet and bobble 18 times, and slip stitch to join. Chain 1, single crochet in the first stitch, move your stitch marker, bobble in the next stitch, then alternate between single crochets and bobbles for the remainder of the round. As always, your round should end with a bobble. At the end of the round, you should have 18 bobbles and a total of 36 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Slip stitch to join. Before we finish closing up the head, we're going to stuff it and add our safety eyes. The first step is to stuff the head. Next, we're going to create indents for the eyes. Cut a strand of tan yarn about 2 feet long. Thread one end of the strand through a yarn needle. Tie a large knot at the other end of the strand. The technique doesn't really matter. I just tie a bunch of knots until I have a big snarl of knots at the end. Okay, that'll work. Push the stuffing in the head aside and insert the needle into the back of the head. Exit the needle next to your first eye marker. Make sure that the knot is tight and flush against the back of the work. Skip over the marker and insert the needle through the next stitch. Exit the needle on the other side of the head next to your second eye marker. Okay, it's coming through there. You can see that it's going all the way through between the two spots. Pull it taut. Then skip over the marked stitch. Push the needle back in and exit through the same spot we initially came through on the head. Okay. We're going to do that a few times, pulling the strand of yarn taut each time. You can go ahead and remove the markers now. Okay. You're going to adjust the stuffing if you need to. All right, I think that looks pretty good, so I'm going to fasten off with a knot. And again, how you do the knot really doesn't matter. Just make sure it's secured to the work somewhere that won't be seen. Okay. Then hide the tail inside the head. And trim that tail off with some scissors. And you've got some cute little eye indents for your sheep. Now you can insert your safety eyes. And where you place them doesn't really matter. Just use your best judgment and adjust them around as you need it till you're happy with the look. Okay. When you're satisfied, you can go ahead and place the backings on your safety eyes. Now you can crochet the rest of the head. For round 31, start with a chain 1, alternate between a single crochet and a decrease 12 times, then slip stitch to join. Chain 1, single crochet in the first stitch of the round, move your stitch marker, and now we're going to decrease, single crochet, 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 then decrease in the last 2 stitches of the round. At the end of the round, you should have 24 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Slip stitch to join. For round 32, we will chain 1 to start, alternate between a single crochet and a bobble 12 times, and slip stitch to join. Chain 1, Single crochet in the first stitch of the round. Move your stitch marker. Bobble in the next stitch. Then alternate between a single crochet and a bobble for the remainder of the round. Your last stitch of the round should be a bobble. So this round should have a total of 12 bobbles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And a total of 24 stitches. And join with the slip stitch. For round 33, start with a chain 1, decrease 12 times, then slip stitch to join. Chain 1. This is going to be a little bit tricky. We're going to put our hook through the loop of the first stitch and the second stitch. Decrease. Then insert our stitch marker. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So as we just counted out, the end of this round has 12 stitches, and you should join with a slip stitch. For round 34, we will begin with a chain 1, alternate between a single crochet and a bobble 6 times, and slip stitch to join. Chain 1, so we single crocheted in that first stitch. We're moving our stitch marker. The next stitch will be a bobble. and alternate between a single crochet and bobble till the end of the round. Okay. The last stitch of the round should be a bobble. At the end of the round, you should have 6 bobbles and a total of 12 stitches. Let's count the bobbles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Join with a slip stitch. From this point forward, you don't need to join rounds or start with a chain 1, so go ahead and remove the stitch marker from the first stitch. We're now going to add any additional stuffing that we need. Okay, the head is now firmly stuffed, but not overstuffed. And we can go ahead and start with the next round. Remember, there's no need to join and no need to chain 1. We're going to decrease 6 times. For round 35, we will decrease 6 times. There is no need to join or chain 1 on this round. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we're going to close up this hole with an ultimate finish. Then we're going to hide this tail inside the head. And trim off the excess. Now we'll be adding a border of single crochet around the face, working into the exposed front loops from round 19. This border helps create the illusion that the wool is sitting on top of the sheep's skin. With white yarn, create a slip knot on your hook. We're going to start down here on the bottom of the head at our color join and single crochet into the first exposed loop. Then we're going to continue single crocheting in each of those front loops all the way around. End with an invisible finish and secure with a knot. Then we're going to hide these tails inside the work. Now that you've finished the head, you can proceed to the next video and we'll make the body. Before you go, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Let's go make that body.